Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Higher or Lower, brought to you by oddschecker, Sporting Index and SpreadX. This is the show where we look ahead to the weekend's football and we look at the spread betting markets with those firms and say if we think the results will be higher or lower than the midpoint. I wonder how, like, word for word I get that every week.
It's got to be close.
I've never written down a script. It's just like
it's natural. It's
just
ingrained.
in there.
And that's what makes you who you are.
Thank you. You're sitting quite far away.
Sorry.
It's the sweaty legs.
That won't make any sense to anyone.
No.
Moving swiftly on. How are you? Sorry, this is Dan Worth to my right, and this is Jack
Hello.
Wright to my left.
I'll move in.
Yeah. How are you doing?
Hi.
All
Well,
good?
very well. You?
How was Tesco's on Monday?
It was as good as it always is.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely superb. Everything was there that I needed. In, out, job done.
What was on the list?
What was on the list? Fruit, vegetables.
Well, when you're vegan, there's not much else.
Exactly right. Some
Yeah.
grass. They didn't have that. Yeah. So it was very pleasant. Yeah.
Lovely. Dan, how are you?
Yeah, fine.
Cool.
Fine.
Good stuff. Right, let's get into the show. Only 4 games we're going to preview this weekend. I don't know why the Championship fair has been ignored this week, but
No reason.
I think it's a protest, isn't it? Is it a protest?
was last week's show too long? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, it's just a complete oversight.
Well, it takes a big man and a brave man to admit his errors and his mistakes.
It seems to be every week.
So
One day we'll get it right.
yeah, but not this day. We're going to start, therefore, with the 12:30 kickoff on Saturday, where Crystal Palace host Liverpool. Crystal Palace struggling a little bit to replicate the kind of form we saw from them at the back end of last season, missing Michael Elise, I would say. Liverpool have settled to life after Klopp like a duck to water. Arne Slot's Liverpool top of the Premier League as it stands going into this one. We are going to look at the total goal minutes market, where, if I can find the script, with SpreadX, 160 to sell, 175 to buy. This is a market where you are looking at the total cumulative minutes in which goals are scored within the game. So higher would be lots of goals and late goals. Lower will be fewer goals and early goals. Right. TGMs. Last week, Jack and I went lower. We were both right. You went higher. You were wrong. 3, 2, 1. Yes!
Is this last week's episode?
Yeah.
I hope not, because he actually won and we lost.
Oh,
so.
damn.
No, not on this market, I don't think.
No. That's just totally.
Oh, totally, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's no surprise.
Total winner.
Much like the answers to this market is no surprise.
Yeah.
Like, I can't keep saying every week about whether this is a high or low market because people are probably bored of that now. But I think this is slightly low. Liverpool scoring for fun. Salah and Diaz, well amongst the goals.
Yeah.
Diaz on fire at the moment. I think I said last week, probably as a result of me putting him in my fantasy team and upward trajectory. Yeah, Liverpool scored at least 2 in 9 of their last 10 away games at Crystal Palace, which I know you'll love because that obviously spans back across seasons, which
Essential
makes it
form,
super
that,
relevant
Yeah.
for anyone placing a bet on this game. They're undefeated against Palace at Selhurst Park in the last 6 meetings.
Yeah.
Again, super relevant. But slightly more relevant is this made up 224 when these teams met here last season with Salah and a late Harvey Elliott winner, 91st minute. Bringing them ahead after a Mateta penalty, 57th minute, I believe. This is obviously the same market that we talked about Liverpool last week. So essentially, it's the same rationale as last week. Liverpool look really good, as you mentioned, top of the league at the moment. Attacking options. And I said last week, they'll go all the way to the end with their attacking prowess, I think. They won't hold up.
In the league?
No.
Just in this game.
Just in
Fine.
game by game.
Right.
They'll continue attacking till the very last minute.
Yeah.
And it's not a surprise, but even when I was watching the Wolves game at the weekend, I was like, oh, they have really strong attacking options on the bench. So even when the likes of Diaz and Salah and whoever else that starts get tired, they have the likes of Gakpo, et al. To bring on. So all the way to the end, I think Liverpool win comfortably on 7.5. Higher.
I think this has like a 1-0, 2-0 written all over it, personally. If you look at Liverpool's results so far this season, they look to me to be a side, unlike Klopp, who don't really keep the kind of foot on the neck, and they are happy to kind of drop off when they get ahead. We've seen them win 2 games 2-0 this season. We've seen them win 2 games 3-0 this season, so they've already won 0 4 times. Obviously, their defeat was 1-0 Champions League this week. They scored early, went 2-0 up, and then were happy to kind of drop off and let Bologna have it. It feels like they're kind of coasting in games in a very good way, but not in a way that I expect them to continue to kind of attack relentlessly. They're playing a Palace side who are really struggling for attacking verve. They've already failed to score in 2 games, and they haven't scored more than 2 goals in a game yet this season. It feels to me like Liverpool go ahead early in this game and they basically do that thing where they put their arm out on Palace's head and Palace are trying to swing and they're not really getting anywhere near them. So, and again, it's a relatively high line. Like there could easily be 3 goals in this game, and it's still a fair way under. So, and because I think Liverpool's dominance should be pretty evident early on, you would think early in the game they should get ahead.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. To be fair, I had a different C word down as far as my description of.
Goodness.
Okay, steady on, steady on. That word is controlling.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I feel
exactly what did you think he was going to say?
Captivating.
Yeah, lovely.
Both could apply, but controlling. I think Liverpool are controlling games out at the moment under Slot. That seems to be the main difference. Really impressive still. And I've got down here that 2-0 I think might well be a very popular scoreline with them over the course of the campaign. And so we've seen it a couple of times this season, already including this week in the Champions League. And yeah, Palace are struggling to get up to the heights they got to at the end of last season, as has been highlighted by Glasner, who has said it probably was a good thing for them to show that they aren't quite where people expect them to be. I think they might need to quickly stop proving that to be the case. If not, there could be a bit of trouble there. But not going to happen in this game, I don't think. They are missing Elise. So the last game, obviously, at Selhurst Park was a 0-0 draw with Manchester United. Admittedly, it was somehow 0-0, and 2 sides missing lots of chances. 0-2 against 2-0 down against Leicester, and come back with a late penalty to see that game going over. And West Ham won 2-0. That was a lower game as well, wasn't it? And as far as Liverpool are concerned, although they've been exceptional away from home, all 3 of their away games have gone under this line: 162, 133, and 125 minutes. And I think that kind of emphasises what we're talking about: an early goal, control performance, see the game out. Thanks very much, and they'll look to go into the international break top of the table, of course. And also, I think Eze struggling for Palace. I think that's a big loss for them with that creativity. Until he clicks, I think they are going to struggle with goals. And also, I do like to tend to go lower in an early kick-off anyway. So that's the final piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, I think Glasner's going to come under some pressure pretty soon at Palace, it feels like. Next up, Everton against Newcastle. Looking at total goals here. Total goal line 3.15 is the midpoint, 3.05 is the sell price, 3.25 the buy price with spread X. Are we going higher or are we going lower? 3, 2, 1.
Ooh,
look at that.
Sweep.
Jack, give us some really nice stats on why this will be a lower.
Okay, I'll try. I feel this one is a game which is going to be a slow burner. I think that it could be very tight at the start of this game. And we won't see action kicking really until the second half. That's kind of how both these sides' games have panned out so far this season, especially Newcastle. They have been suffering from slow starts to games, and they seem just a bit disjointed at the minute. Obviously, Isak being out as well is a problem for them, although Gordon offers a bit of a pest kind of element up front, and obviously he's decent in his own right. But I also think Branthwaite coming back for Everton should solidify them. Obviously, we look at the bare stats and see that there's been a lot of goals in Everton games, but with Branthwaite back, I think that does tighten their defensive unit up. I expect 2 or 3 goals in it, but I wouldn't expect 4 or more goals in it, to be honest. Simple as that, really, to be fair.
Dan?
Yeah, not loads to add because I completely agree. I actually think there'll be 3 goals in this. It's just going to be.
I love when you do this. I love when you call it on the button.
Yes, I mean, do you disagree? Do you reckon fewer than 3? I mean, you definitely don't think higher than 3.
No, but I think when you say I think there'll be 3 goals in this game, that in my mind suggests you think there's like a high 50% chance there's going to be that.
Oh, I'm not smart enough to work out the percentage.
Yeah, you are.
It bodes well for the league tables.
You guys have access to it too. It's a joint effort.
We don't have the time that you've got.
Yeah, fair enough. This is more of a reflection of I think Newcastle will probably win, but I don't think they'll run away with this. And largely for what you said with Everton strengthening at the back with Branthwaite coming back in, and just growing into the season. To be perfectly honest, Newcastle have created just 8 xG and have scored 8 goals. And they rank 16th in the league for shots, which was actually a little bit of a surprise to me that they were that far down. Everton, no surprise, are also down there. They've had one shot more and are in 15th. So I just don't think there's going to be loads and loads of chances here. So I can't see it being a massively high scoring affair. So yeah, it's a lower for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think with Everton, with Branthwaite coming back, it's so important to what they do defensively, and it should make them much more solid. I remember seeing a thing last season basically saying that if you backed over 2.5 goals for the duration of last season, with every team you've been in profit apart from Everton, where you've been massive, and that is Sean Dyche. I think Newcastle are struggling for their attacking fluidity. Obviously, they played midweek against a League 2 AFC Wimbledon and scored 1 goal, and that was a penalty. It feels like things might not all be okay, I think, in Newcastle at the moment. And maybe Eddie Howe's time is ticking, let's say.
England?
I'm on, so I hope so. I think that job is Lee Carsley's, personally.
Yeah, me too.
But that's a conversation for another time. If we ever do an international version of higher or lower. On now to, this is interesting because it's Villa Manchester United. Since we last spoke, since you and I sat at this very table and said, you know what, I think United might be all right.
Yeah.
Something's hit the fan. And they were beaten 3-0 by Tottenham. We had a bizarre red card that was kind of not overturned by VAR, but has since been rescinded off the back of it. But realistically, how much did Bruno Fernandes is sending off really actually matter in that game, where from the first whistle, Spurs were just all over them like a rash. They play Aston Villa. Since we last sat at this very table, Aston Villa have played Bayern Munich in the Champions League and have beaten them 1-0.
Not many sides beat Bayern Munich in European football.
No.
Especially English ones.
Well, Villa had already done it.
Yeah.
42 years ago.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
6 years to the day yesterday since Steve Bruce was hit by a cabbage.
Wow.
6 years on, and they're beating Bayern Munich in the
Where is
Champions
he
League.
now?
If that man hadn't thrown that cabbage, would they have won last night?
That's an interesting sliding doors moment.
You don't know.
Interesting.
No one knows. But Villa, marginal favourites here, at home against Manchester United. A United side that I said aren't as bad as people think.
No. Still in your top 10?
Sporting Index, 0.25 is the midpoint here in the supremacy. This is the amount of goals that the favourite beats the underdog by. 3, 2, 1.
Oh.
I really wanted to go
again.
lower, but I can't face it.
Me too.
I just can't face it.
I thought about Man United on the fixed odds this week, thinking they might be quite a juicy price.
And they're just not.
And they're not. They're not.
Yeah, I'll start here. I think the one thing that is in United's favour here is, there's got to be a bit of a, not a hangover, but maybe a bit of a hangover from that game. The issue is that United, we don't know what's going to happen tonight. They go to Porto. No. There's every chance they get beat 7-0, and then this line moves even further. But Villa obviously have the extra day's rest, which is going to be important. But I think having that incredible night, beating Bayern 1-0 at home, does that lead to an element of complacency? Possibly. But at the same time, Villa are just a good side. And right now, if you made a list of every single part of Aston Villa, Manchester United, who's got a better manager? Aston Villa. Who's got better players? Aston Villa. Who's so far been performing better this season? Villa. Who've got home advantage? Villa. So even though I think there's an element where United might be still good enough to outclass some of the worst teams in the division, Aston Villa is not that.
Do you know, just quickly, sorry to interrupt, on that point, Gary Neville last week, I heard him say that he was quite bullish about Manchester United beating Tottenham, as we were. Yeah. As we weren't the only ones. And he said, then he looked at the team sheet when it came out and he went, oh, hang on.
Yeah.
Tottenham are better in every kind of department and got better players than Manchester United have got. And then it transpired onto the pitch as well. So, yeah, exactly to that point.
There you go. Well, I'm done.
Oh, well, yeah.
Do you want to say anything else?
No, I totally agree. I was thinking, this absolutely stinks of a Ten Hag survival mission where just as it was about to all end for him, he pulls a good result out of the bag. But
he's done it before.
Yeah. But I think with Emery, they've got a manager who has the concern. I think is that Bayern Munich hangover, the euphoria of that massive night, brilliant result, couldn't have really gone any better for them. Another John Duran, late masterclass off the bench. It's just all the stories incredible. Clean sheet against Bayern Munich after they'd scored 9. It's like everything was perfect for it. I imagine the fans are probably still there, still dancing and celebrating. But Man United got to go to Porto. So that's a really, really tough fixture on a Thursday night, away in Portugal, and then I've got to come back and then travel away. I know it's not a million miles from Manchester to the Midlands, but they've still got that travel to do. And as you said, we don't know what's going to happen tonight, which with Man United, we know it could be absolutely anything. So, but I think with Emery, they've got a manager that's been there in Europe, won European trophies, and still managed to get his side performing well in the league. And I think that's a massive thing for them here, where he knows how to make sure that they stay focused and regroup that. And I think they've got the players as well, as you say, the squad, that they can rotate, they can bring those certain players in. Like say Watkins ran himself into the ground last night, brought him off. Duran comes on, scores after 5 minutes. Morgan Rogers doing superb, and I think this is set up for Morgan Rogers against this Man United midfield. And I actually think Fernandes having that card rescinded might actually support this better, because Ten Hag's unlikely to change it. Whereas possibly with him missing, that might give them the opportunity to potentially look at how they're going to stop people just driving straight through the middle of their midfield and into their defence. So I think there's so many good things to like about this Villa side and how they're set up and how they'll play against Manchester United. That I had to go and side with Villa here.
Dan?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think you have to side with Villa for all the reasons that both of you have just said. Like the roller coaster of Man United continues, and I agree that Ten Hag does pull results out of the bag when he really needs it. I think that's way more likely that United have that result tonight and they snatch a 1-0 or 1-goal win against Porto, come back, normal service at Villa, and they're on the end of a defeat. I'm not going to say that Villa would hammer Man United, but I just think that they get the win, home advantage, all the things you guys said. My only slight concern is United have quite a good record against Aston Villa recently, but I mean, it's impossible to comment on Man United and get it right. I feel
they are
so good, so bad.
Defy logic.
A lot of times, somewhere in the middle, getting beaten by weaker teams, getting beaten by that. It's carnage to call. But when you look at this fixture, it's Villa's to win, right?
All three of us agreeing that Villa will get the job done on Sunday. Now, Brighton versus Tottenham, 2 of the league's entertainers so far this season. And we are looking at time of first goal. This is the time in which the first goal is scored in. Sporting Index have the line as 28 to sell, 31 to buy. So 29.5 is the midpoint. Lower would mean that we see the first goal in the game in the first half an hour. Higher would mean after the half-hour mark or a 0-0 draw. Higher or lower? 3, 2, 1.
That's me, isn't it?
This is obvious, isn't it? Dan the man, the magic man.
Yeah, it seems to be. What do you reckon the average is in the Premier League? Everyone, if you had to guess.
34.5.
32.
Really? It's 28.
Oh.
Which surprised me, particularly because of what you said. These two are the entertainers.
Yeah.
I don't know why, with the average being lower than this line is not at least the average or lower. But there we go. Brighton have been conceding early. Spurs have been scoring early. There we go.
Sounds like a match made in heaven, doesn't it?
All we really need. Yeah. I think a goal in the first half an hour. It's happening.
Has to be.
Has to be.
Don't have any logic to back it up with. It's just going to happen.
just going to happen. Yeah, that's enough, isn't it?
That's good. A good reason. Yeah.
Jack?
Well, I watched the Brighton game against Chelsea last weekend, and it was absolute chaos. Absolute chaos. And especially in the first half. Obviously, the second half was goalless, but 6 goals in the first half. I think they need a jerk reaction to that. But just watching how Brighton played and Van Hecker being out seems to be a big thing for them. It's like 6 weeks he's possibly out for. So how they go about that, and the high line was that suicidal high line. It was like raising Tottenham's high line. And this could be a game which is played within about a 5 metre either side of the halfway line with the high lines. But I say that the chances that were being given up last week and early in both these sides, so we've got teams that are going to go out on the front foot and look to attack and look to impose themselves early doors in it. And I think that if Hertzler specifically persists with this style, this absolutely plays into the hands of Tottenham with the players that they've got. They seem to have got a really nice setup at the minute with Maddison and Kulusevski as those kind of 2 8s. Brennan Johnson's great to see him having a bit of a torrid start, now getting that confidence up and looking like the player that we saw at Nottingham Forest as well. And Solanke as well, linking the play up superbly well, but also scoring goals too. That was quite a Tottenham heavy assessment of why I've gone lower in this, but I just think, yeah, both sides can come to the party here, and I would be shocked if there's not a goal in the first half an hour.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Spurs under Postecoglou. Have you got there what the Spurs' average first goals time is under Postecoglou?
Yeah, it was
all season
20.
Yeah, like they always come out so fast. We saw it against United last time as well. Obviously, they are another team with a European commitment that might impact their energy levels, but generally, like they're so reliable in terms of not results, not performances, but they're so reliable in the way that they set up for games, and it's always starting really fast, and that obviously means that they create a lot of chances. But if it doesn't work, a team like Brighton, who have their own attacking threat, they can obviously pick them off too. Like we know that this is two teams, neither of which are going to look to kind of drop off and keep it tight early. And yeah, I mean, again, this is pretty low in terms of what you normally see for a first goal line, but I'm not sure it's gone low enough. So I'm in agreement. Nap time, my favourite time of the day. Jack, we'll start with you. What's your best bet of the weekend?
Okay, I've gone. There's a couple that I did like that markets aren't quite ready yet, so keep an eye out on header goal minutes in Arsenal versus Southampton, given the dynamics of those two sides. And I was also kind of looking at a little bit of a card market, but yeah, couldn't pull the trigger on that one. So I've gone with Leicester versus Bournemouth, and I've gone with shirt numbers. So I've gone for
bit of shirts.
Bit of shirts number.
Class.
Yeah. So midpoint 44.5. I have gone higher. I just feel that this is a game that Bournemouth, having seen them on Monday night, impressively put Southampton to bed in the first half.
That time at least.
Yeah, exactly right.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
it works well, doesn't it? Yeah, and it could have been more as well. So they've got goals in them, but they also do tend to have a tendency to concede as well. Of no clean sheet in the last 10 across all competitions. So I think with these fixtures, they've had a few hard games. I think with these supposedly easier fixtures, I think they'll look to then make ground back up into that sort of top 10 of the table. And as far as Leicester are concerned, a few issues, problems as far as Steve Cooper is concerned as well. But both teams to score have copped kind of surprisingly in all 6 Leicester Premier League games so far. So obviously on that basis, they have been able to score. And we saw that against Arsenal last week. The best defence in the league alongside Liverpool, and scored twice against them and nearly caused the right surprise. But shirt numbers is the bet. So what we're looking at here is where the key men. Semenyo is Bournemouth's key man, and he's wearing shirt number 24. So I think that plays a big part in what I was looking for already.
You're a big fan of Big Tone, aren't you? Or Little Tone? Semenyo?
I am.
Yeah.
I like him a lot. Yes, I like him a lot. So he did me proud a couple of weeks ago when we were on his goal minutes, scored late in the day. Yeah, I'm loving seeing him perform, and I loved his interview the other night after the game. He just seems like a proper humble guy that's loving playing at the moment and showing it on the pitch. And the fact that he can go left foot, right foot is causing havoc, and also that left side of Leicester's defence is their weak area as well. So I think he can have a little bit of a field day against them. And you look, their starting lineup is quite low numbered, but when you look at the impact off the bench, you've got Unal wearing 26, Sinistero wearing 17, Kluivert wearing 19. They're all threatening players, to say, off the bench. Leicester, main threats you'd consider to be Vardy and Mavididi, but 9 and 10. But there's a bit of a wild card here, a bit of a joker, which has swayed me to actually play this one, and he could effectively pretty much clear this line on his own, and that's Buona Notte.
Oh, good night.
Yes.
Nap time.
It is. It all fits in.
Yeah.
Don't just throw this together,
Yeah.
Leicester wearing shirt number 40, and he's already scored this season against Aston Villa. We've also got Edouard as a striker off the bench.
Bedward?
Bedward. I hadn't thought of that one, but that is brilliant.
Thanks.
And he's wearing number 29.
Awesome. Dan, how do you follow that?
I know, it's going to be a tough one. I am going back to the game that we just discussed, Brighton versus Tottenham, and I'm buying Tottenham corners squared.
Oh.
At 32.
Interesting.
Spurs average the most corners in the league of any team this season, with 9.33 per game.
Wow, that is a lot of corners.
Which is quite high. Brighton average 6. Don't know why I put that in there because that holds no relevance to this market.
It's good colour.
But not only is that average high, they've gone like above this a couple of times this season. 13 against Leicester, 12 against Everton, 12 against Newcastle. In fact, they've hit this line in every game this season bar the United game where they only had 3. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen. Obviously, the corner squared market buying at 32. I need Tottenham to have 6. They hit that in both of their last 2 meetings against Brighton. I I probably should have gone a bit further to make that more compelling, but I haven't. 9 last time and 6 the time before that. So yeah, top. Go on.
No, it's a very interesting market because Brighton, up until last weekend, weren't conceding many corners at all. But I had a vested interest in this, hence why I know this stat off the top of my head. But 0 conceded against Chelsea in the first half, but they conceded 8 in the second half. Mainly didn't concede any in the first half because everything just went in. So, or was offside. So it was, that's like, I say, having watched the game and knowing the way Tottenham play, seeing that it absolutely works perfectly well, that this could be a good one for Spurs.
There are obviously loads of corners markets on the Spreadex and Sporting Index that this rationale kind of plays to. So if you don't like corner squared, there's loads of others that you can go with. I was looking at the, I can't remember what it's called, but the goals
by times corners times cards.
And then I just got a little bit paranoid.
Scared.
Well, because I had the corners rationale, and I was like, I'm going to have to times it by 3 if I want to get the rationale for the other 2 parts. So, I've gone lazy. Spurs corner squared, 32.
I'm also going for a multiplier. Ooh. Mine, I didn't get scared.
You never do.
Friday night, under the lights.
Championship.
Yeah.
Knew it. And that's why you left the market open.
Sunderland. I mean, I cannot believe you left this out. You have the team currently top of the league, Sunderland, one of the biggest, most passionate fan bases in the world, hosting Leeds, favourites for the title, one of the most passionate fan bases in the world, up against each other, under the lights, the Stadium of Light. Like, whoa.
Big game.
Huge game. Like, it might only be the beginning of October, but this will feel to Sunderland like an opportunity to prove to Leeds and to the rest of the Championship that they are title contenders, an opportunity for Leeds to go to a team who are currently top of the league and prove why they're title favourites. It couldn't be bigger. And I'm looking at bookings. We've got Chris Kavanagh on the whistle. No, we don't.
Oh,
we don't. We've got Tim Robinson.
Oh, even better.
Even better on the whistle. He was last seen officiating a big game between 2 teams who don't like each other very much, and Aston Villa versus Wolverhampton Wanderers, and he gave 9 cards. He gives tickets in big games. Like, he's not, I wouldn't say one of those crazy ones. When it comes to big clashes, he's not scared of getting his hand in his pocket. And I think here, in front of the cameras, given what's at stake, and given what will undoubtedly be an absolutely electric atmosphere at the Stadium of Light, I think the cards line is too low. So the general bookings line is 51.55. So that's 10 points for a yellow, 25 points for a red. So that's basically, you need 6 bookings or more in order to turn over a profit. But I'm looking at the cross bookings market, which is where it's Team A's booking points versus Team B's booking points, where it can obviously spiral very, very quickly if the cards start coming out. And given the way this goes, sometimes I don't like this market because if it's going to be a really one-sided game, then it can often be the case where if someone's trying to defend the lead, if it's like a Man City against Southampton kind of game, then it can often be the case that the dominant side just don't really commit very many fouls and don't give away. But this, no matter what the score is, I think will be hotly contested between 2 sides who will look to play their own game. So, and if you look at this season, so last season Leeds had a very good disciplinary record. This season they currently sit 8th in the Championship despite decent results. They've already been shown 19 yellow cards. Sunderland, a bit better, they've got 15 yellow cards and a red and sit in 17th. But there's nothing there in their numbers to suggest that either Regis Lebris or Daniel Farker have kind of ensured that they have an amazing defensive record. So, yeah.
Second huge game for Leeds away from home in a matter of days against a promotion rival. And there was plenty of cards in
there you go.
Game
exactly.
For both sides.
There you go.
Yeah. And Robbo, in my head, I think he seems to get even more
he loves
aggressive in the Championship.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. So, yeah, this is one that I very much like. I'm just going to see how many cards there were in that game because it might be quite nice if there was enough. Yeah, so that made up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 for Leeds, 2 for Norwich. Would have made up 1,000. There you go. There you have it.
Case closed, you on it?
I should also say, with these markets, because it's a very high line, because the buy price is 785, obviously stake accordingly. Because even if you're to bet, say 10p a point at 785, and one team doesn't get a booking, then you're going to lose 785 points, which equates to £78.50.
Yeah.
So make sure you stick accordingly. Make sure you work out the maximum losses before you get involved.
Probably worth saying that that's what we'll be doing for the sake of this, right? It's
Yeah,
a 10p stake.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. So make sure you work out your stake size before betting and stake accordingly. And do remember the losses can exceed your initial deposit with spread betting. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
I thought it was a good show from you, Jack.
Oh, cheers, mate. You were brilliant hosting.
Thank you, mate. No show next week?
no show next week.
No show next week. I can't bear it.
Week off.
Plenty of nap time next week.
That sounds good. Yeah, we'll be back again after the international break to preview the weekend's games yet again. Make sure you check out Sporting Next and SpreadX for your spread betting needs. You can find a link in the show description. There's a new customer offer there as well, so make sure you click on the link and check that out if you want to sign up. Do check out the risks of spread betting, as I say, and work out how it all works before getting involved. But also look at oddschecker for all of your fixed odds betting needs, and whoscored.com have you covered for all the stats you need to inform your betting. Thanks to these guys. We'll see you soon. Have a great weekend and international break, and please ensure that you're gambling responsibly.